Hey Scott,
Good morning. How you
good
doing?
morning. How are you?
Terrific. Finally got this sucker working.
That's cool.
How you been?
Oh, just uh, doing a lot of things, but doing good. Yeah, great.
Very good. Glad to hear it.
And you? Same there. I bet you are very. You have a lot of things to do as well because um, you couldn't participate in the last meeting, and I'm sure you are doing a lot of things and you are very busy.
Yeah. Well, last Saturday I was at we had a conference here in town, a computer conference. We call it SQL Saturday. And a friend of mine was doing a presentation there, and he asked me to go.
Oh yeah. And you presented about SQL?
I didn't present. I just went, and and he didn't show up until shortly before the final session. So I sat there waiting for him to come, and he didn't come till right before his presentation. He was presenting at the very final session, so that was a little disappointing. So I could have gone to the meeting. It was with y'all been much more interesting. Is almost specific, exclusively for Microsoft SQL Server, and I'm doing Oracle these days. I haven't done SQL Server in almost 10 years. So, it's a different community. And I thought it was interesting. It's the first tech conference I've been to here in Houston where I only recognized one other person. And it's like I normally recognize the people who go to the conferences, at least some number of them, but I didn't know anybody at this one. It's weird.
Well, it's more difficult when you go to a conference and you don't know anything. I mean, I remember when we were in Java 1 and
Yeah.
I didn't know anyone there. Just, I mean, I knew some people like Otavio, like Bruno, Eder,
I did.
Yanaga, but um, just it was tough because we didn't know the very majority of the people.
Yeah.
But now it's gonna be easier because um, those people we tend to find them again in other events. So I found people that I met in Java 1, in EclipseCon, um, and it was it was good to see people there again.
EclipseCon? Where was that?
It was in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Otavio invited me to go there because he couldn't go, and then it was a short notice challenge, and it was really tough to accept it and to make the decision because I had to understand everything in 3 weeks, and yeah, and to give a talk in a very important conference like this without being necessarily an expert on these subjects, it's tough. So
So I guess
yeah,
it had to be related to Eclipse.
sorry.
Everything had to be related to Eclipse, the Eclipse development environment.
Uh, Not necessarily. EclipseCon, it's about Eclipse Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So Jakarta is from Eclipse
Oh, okay.
Foundation. So And NoSQL is just about to go to Jakarta. I strongly believe that.
Right. Okay.
And what about you? I told you to talk to your CEO directly. I don't know if you followed um, my advice
About what? Maybe I don't remember.
about your new machine.
Oh, new computer. Oh yeah, he knows about it. It's not his concern.
The CEO?
Yeah, I'm just a whiny developer. Oh, this I don't know. There's no way for me to access the CEO of Shell. He's
Why not? Just send
talking to
him
the
an
president
email.
of the U.S. You don't just go and talk to the president. Or talking to he's got many levels of people who run interference for him. So yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well,
I did
try
look.
to figure
And
out.
my computer is up.
Is he
Every 2 years, and so mine is up for update in October. So at least that will be my 2 year mark is October.
okay, so after October you can get a new one.
Yeah. But I told you about my Linux machine, right? That I've set up.
Oh no, you didn't.
Oh, I've got this. About 10 years ago, I bought a really nice HP laptop. Multimedia is 8 gigs of RAM and multi-core i7. Really nice computer. And I was going to use it for doing development and my home projects and that sort of thing. Well, it turned out my wife liked it, so she pretty much commandeered it, and then my daughter took it from her to play her video games on. So now it's too slow to play her video games. So I got it back a few months ago. So a friend of mine told me that I need to start figuring out Linux. It's
Yeah, I need to do that as well.
So he told me, you need to either, the best one would be Gentoo, because you compile everything. Basically, it takes a couple of days to install Gentoo because it downloads everything and compiles it on your computer, and it's optimized for your machine. So you get the best performance that way. And then when I tried to, I needed to install Vim, which is basically the default editor on any Unix-based system. It took a couple of hours for it to download all of the dependencies and compile everything. I said, this is ridiculous. It's going to take me forever to get this set up. And then any update I get, I'm going to get the source code, and then it's got to go compile everything. It's not like you just download it and install it. It downloads it, compiles it, and puts it in place. This would be a fun project on a computer that I don't have to use that often, but it's just, it's not for something I'm going to be using all the time. So I uninstalled it and installed Debian, and it's been working like a charm. I'm impressed. This is what I'm using right now.
That's cool.
Because my MacBook has been slowing down. I made the mistake of installing the latest operating system update, and so it's running slower and slower. And this 10-year-old laptop, it runs computer in my house. So I'm really pretty pleased with it. But I mean, the Linux figured out what the camera was. It's working. It figured out all the devices, everything except for the fingerprint scanner. It just automatically is working. So I'm really pleased with this.
That's cool. Are you using a virtual machine?
No,
A VirtualBox or the pure Linux?
it's yeah. I just installed Linux on the computer, um, and yeah, I've been running everything off of that. You know, most of what we do these days is either on the cloud or through a browser, so it works fine. Got Chrome
Oh.
going, all that.
So, do you prefer Debian rather than Ubuntu?
Well, the reason that my friend recommended I use Debian is because it doesn't collect uh, whatever the data, you know, usage data to see what applications you're running, what you might be having trouble with, and calling home to talk about performance. Um, Ubuntu does that so that it can tell, you know, like it has the application store on it, so you can go. It makes it real easy to find applications to install. Um, and so Ubuntu started doing that to make it to be more responsive to users, to make it a better user interface. And they call it telemetry data. So they just, you know, they're basically collecting usage to see where people get stuck, where people tend to, you know, where there's performance problems, that sort of thing. And my friend said, you know, I don't want my computer collecting data on me unless I want it to collect data on me and tell it to. So he does in his presentation that he did last weekend. He showed off that like with SQL Server. SQL Server 2012 originally came out, and you had a couple of checkboxes that would say, I want to submit my telemetry data to Microsoft so it can keep track of it. When you install a program, it says let you know, let it collect data so we can improve performance and make it a better application. That's the telemetry data that they collect. So anyway, says the first update of SQL Server 2012, it was an automatic opt-in. Before it was, you know, you had to check the box to send the telemetry data. The next update, the box was automatically checked. And the update after that, it didn't give you the option. You have to go in to turn it off. You have to go into the registry and find the registry settings to turn it off.
Whoa.
So he said, you know, that's just wrong. And
It is.
And actually, Microsoft has a really popular editor called their Visual Studio Code. Yeah, VS Code, and it's become the primary competitor to Atom for web developers, and it collects telemetry data unless you specifically go in and turn it off. But that's only, let's see, if you purchase it, then there's no way to turn it off. If you get the open source version and use that, then there's a way for you to turn it off. Which sounds kind of inverse. If I'm paying for software, why am I giving you free data? I don't think so. So
yes.
Anyway.
So
yeah, that's why he recommends Debian, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it.
What's the version you got?
Whatever the latest version is.
Oh yeah.
It starts with an S. It's let me see what it says.
So you used a pen drive to install Linux in your machine?
No. This has actually it's got a, what do you call it, a Blu-ray.
A Blu-ray
player, because this was a top-end machine when I got it 10 years ago. Blu-ray was the new exciting technology for watching stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So, and then I tried to play a Blu-ray DVD, and it said, no, you're not in the wrong. You can't play this on a computer. You have to play it on a video player. So, but
Yeah.
I bet it can work now because Linux doesn't have those kind of limitations. Windows does.
Yes. And I bet it flies. It's very, very fast.
Well, I did because it came with Windows. Was it? No, it wasn't Windows 7. Windows XP.
Whoa, Windows XP.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. So maybe it was Windows 7, but I think it was Windows XP.
Yeah, I think it was Windows 7.
Okay. But anyway,
but never mind. Yeah.
That's not supported anymore, and so if I try and install it, I can't get the updates for it anymore, and half of the drivers for it don't work right. And so I tried installing Windows 10 on it, and it was so ridiculously slow.
Okay.
This just can't work. And then I installed Debian, and it's amazing. The project I do at the office on the computer they gave me, it takes between 8 and 10 minutes to compile the whole project. And I was able to, since the source code is stored on the cloud, I was able to download it onto this computer. And it takes a little over 2 minutes to build everything. So it's almost 5 times faster running a 10-year-old machine with Debian than running the latest version of Windows 7 on my work computer.
Yeah, Windows is too heavy and
pretty crazy.
Definitely using Linux is better for development, no question.
Yeah.
But if you want to play some game, it's not good.
Well, it depends. Like you can play Steam games on Linux because it's mainly web-based.
Seriously?
Yeah.
But no, actually, most of the games on Steam, you have to download them and install them.
Okay.
So I don't think you can play Steam games. Maybe some of them, but not all.
Okay.
Not. Yeah, but it depends. Maybe for me, for example, I don't have time to play.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a concern for me.
Yeah, that's not a concern, so doesn't matter. I'm thinking about buying a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know a good place where I can find a good price or?
I bought my MacBook on Craigslist. There was I was told that sometimes you can find a good deal on Craigslist, so I started looking, and this someone was unable to pay the rent, and so he needed to sell stuff as quickly as possible so he could pay the rent. So I got this 17-inch. You saw my MacBook, that 17-inch. Got it for basically $1,000, and that was a $2,000 machine originally, and it was and he had upgraded the hard drive on it and increased the memory, and so he was literally crying when he sold it to me. He really loved the computer. I said, if it's that important to you, I really feel bad about taking it from him. But he saw the stack of cash and said, well, no, I need the money. I have to stay living inside. So he
yes, he has to do that.
But yeah, I haven't found a deal like that since. Once in a while, you can find a good deal like that. But, so, have you heard? Are you speaking at Java 1 this year?
I don't know. Did you receive the confirmation? about the talks? I haven't received anything.
Yeah, I haven't. But I was going to say my son is planning to he's planning to become a priest. And
Wow.
so he has a MacBook that I bought him for school that it's an older MacBook, but if you stick an SSD in it, then which I planned on doing anyway, then it's actually reasonably useful. It's worth considering. I could, if he's willing to part with it. Right now he's touring Europe, but he'll be getting back in I guess in September. So I can ask him then, but we'll see. But yeah. Otherwise, I check Craigslist or that sort of thing. MacBooks, they go on sale during Black Friday. They'll knock $100 off the price.
Well,
Not as much of a discount you're going to get from Apple. And they're really, really expensive.
yes.
So I was thinking about getting a new MacBook, and then after my experience on using Linux, I've decided that my next computer, I'm just going to get Linux. I'm not sure the MacBook provides that much of a benefit. And Apple has not updated their MacBooks in almost 2 years. So I don't know what their commitment is to their hardware. I don't know what's going on with that. So not necessarily trying to talk you out of it. I'm just saying, you might find a better deal on a Linux computer or something. Get more bang for your buck.
Yes, maybe.
Why were you?
We don't know. Don't know the future of Apple.
Yeah. Why were you wanting to get a MacBook?
Because my laptop is getting slow and it's heavy, doesn't have a good battery life. It lasts for 2 hours. And I want a fast PC that I can rely on. A lightweight PC and with a long battery life. And and Mac provides everything that I need to development and or to work or to write articles, those kind of things. So and you never have to format or it doesn't get virus.
Right.
And the hardware talks better with the software because Mac OS was developed to the hardware. So
okay.
Yeah, I think at least and it's just fast and doesn't freeze like Windows. I know Linux doesn't have problem, but my my laptop's not just it's getting slow. It's about um, that those reasons I told you, that is heavy and um, the battery is just doesn't last.
Right. How much are you looking to pay for it?
So I was thinking about buying a top one. Then I can stay a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe MacBook Pro 15 inches.
Yeah. I think you're looking at well, here in the U.S. that would cost you around $2,500.
2,500. Okay.
It would be 2000. euro plus change. That's here in the U.S., so I don't know if it's probably more expensive in Europe.
Yes.
You can look when you're here for Java 1.
Yeah, the price is the same.
Yeah. Okay.
In euro and in dollar, so it's better to buy in USA.
Yeah. So.
Or I can try to buy a refurbished.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the best deal you're going to get from Apple is to get a refurbished machine.
Yeah.
So, what was your presentation that you did at the at EclipseCon?
It was about NoSQL.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the new framework that allows Java developer to use NoSQL technology without necessarily having to know deeply those technologies, those NoSQL technologies.
Okay. So, can you give me a thumbnail overview of
Yes.
what it means and everything?
Yes. NoSQL is an API created by Otávio Santana and the Java community um, to make Java developers' life easier. So, for example, with it reminds me a lot JPA.
Okay.
Because JPA you don't have to create prepared statements and all those crazy things to make a simple query or to produce to manipulate the data in the database. So what NoSQL does is basically the same thing, but it's even easier than JPA. So NoSQL gives us the possibility to map our entities in exactly the same way that JPA works. So we would basically to change the imports because the name of the annotations are the same. It's, for example, entity and column. And with that, we can insert, we can update, we can delete data in a very similar way of JPA. And we can manipulate NoSQL technologies such as MongoDB, Neo4j, um, and well, every technology, every NoSQL technology.
So it's kind of like JDBC for a NoSQL database.
JPA.
JPA. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an amazing API, and it's about to go to Jakarta. So it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
That's really cool.
You can contribute as well if you want.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. In my in my copious spare time. That's interesting. Well, I've not used a NoSQL database. I was thinking about the database that we use at my office is it's a relational Oracle database, but Oracle has a NoSQL database. So debating on if there's a way to convert our data into a NoSQL type of data that might get better performance out of it.
Yes.
That's interesting.
It is.
So do you do much with NoSQL?
So actually, I tried the project, the example project with MongoDB, and it's incredibly easy. I can send you the project if you want it. It's do you have MongoDB configured on your machine?
No.
So it's if you have it, you can. I'll just send you. It's where is it? Okay, SQL. You can download this project, and once you have MongoDB installed on your machine, you just run the class and it's gonna work.
Okay.
It's very easy.
I'll do that.
Yeah, and there is examples of every NoSQL technology has Hazelcast, Graph Titan, Neo4j,
Mm-hmm.
Couchbase, Cassandra, ArangoDB. You can try them out. You can start with MongoDB. I think it's the easiest.
Okay. I will look into that.
Yeah, and I would like to discuss subject with you. I'm writing an article about polymorphism.
About what?
Polymorphism,
Oh, yeah.
and people say that polymorphism is um, that actually overloading is polymorphism. Do you agree with that?
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's my understanding of polymorphism is you a single object can take multiple forms, right? So that's what overloading. You have your list, and you overload it by having an array list or whatever kind of list there are, but a linked list or
Vector.
yeah. But yeah, that's my understanding. I know there's a difference between overloading and overwriting.
Exactly. That's my question. Do you think um, overloading could be considered as a polymorphism or just overriding? Because overloading, uh, in a practical way, saying it's just methods that share the same name, nothing more.
Right.
But polymorphism, on the other hand, are methods that are really overridden and they have real connections because it's necessary to have inheritance. Without inheritance, it's impossible to use polymorphism. So I'm writing this article and I'm thinking about putting um, this definition.
Okay. Yeah. I mean I think that'd be really helpful.
Yeah, but so you agree that overloading is polymorphism?
Well, I'm sorry, I don't. I generally have to read the articles that explain the difference to really understand the nuances. Overloading is when you basically extend an object. You make it different. So you've got a video game and you have a spaceship. Well, you can have either a fighter spaceship, or you can have a people carrier spaceship, or you can have a whatever different kinds of ships that you carry around. But that would be polymorphism because they all have, the spaceship has a drive and a transport and size and whatever. But over overriding is basically replacing some method with another method, which is, it's more of a granular thing. That's my understanding. My understanding could be wrong. Let's see if there's a good article explaining that can bail me out of my ignorance. Overload versus override. Let's see, there's a C++, C#, Java, the Java tutorial blog. So, Joe, Java papers. Overloading. Overloads. A truck is an example for overloading. Overloading, overriding. When the class is inherited, we get a base class method. So overriding is behavior, and overloading is attributes. Methods, making it look bulkier. Overloading, adding more attributes and methods to a class. And overriding is replacing existing functionality. So I guess overriding would be your polymorphism, huh? Whereas overloading. Let's see, what do I know? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, is that what kind of insights are you looking for or planning to put in your article?
I will send you the text I wrote here.
Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't explore this, but
why not? I think it'd be helpful.
It's because people discuss a lot. They say, "Oh, overloading is polymorphism," and they start to say a lot of crazy things.
Okay. So, so who's Kathy Sierra? She just has a book. Who does she think she is?
Don't you know her?
I don't know. Do I? Where would I know her from?
So Kate Sierra, she's very famous. She writes Java books to certifications, and she knows really deeply Java concepts.
Okay. Well, then who are you to question her? She knows her stuff.
Yes, but I wanted to find this text in the book, but I couldn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't find it, and I just wanted to confirm that. Because people can just write, "Oh, but you are wrong."
Right. Well, I guess you can do a Google search for overloading versus overriding and see what people say. And whatever.
It's always the same thing. People start to discuss a lot of things, and in the end,
well, I mean, is it important that you know the difference between overloading versus overriding, or know what polymorphism is?
I think so, because they are different concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Overloading is completely different than polymorphism.
Okay.
Overloading are just methods that share the same name.
Right.
And polymorphism has a real connection with inheritance.
Yes.
But overloading, I mean, I would say that overloading is just to make the code, not just, it's important, but just to make the code, yeah, let's remove this word just. It's to get the code cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to create a lot of methods with different names.
Right. It
You
helps
can
copy paste.
exactly, and it's easier to see other methods that receive different attributes instead of creating several methods um, that should do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the important thing to know is when you should use one versus when you should use the other. I mean, in a practical sense. I mean, it's important to know the distinction between the terms in computer science when you're discussing concepts. But when I'm doing my work every day, I need to know when is it important to overload and when is it important to override.
Yes.
So I would recommend, if you're going to write an article, that you discuss the practical implications of overloading versus overriding, and when each would be when would you want to use one versus the other.
Yes, I can think on that way as well.
Mm-hmm. And then it won't be just another Me Too argument of what I think overloading versus overriding is. There's dozens of articles like that out there.
Yes. So, did you submit a talk to Java 1?
I submitted
What?
2 books.
Wow, 2 talks.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We'll see if either of them is accepted.
What's the name of the talks?
Well, the first one I was going to do. I want to do a presentation on the approval tests tool that I'm a big fan of, and the other is my 7 Deadly Sins talk.
Oh, this is very cool. I want to see that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Oh,
The
well,
God object. It's very very cool.
okay. Well, thanks. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking that my 7 Deadly Sins talk is sort of general, and I don't know what the appeal for that would be, but maybe it's just because I know it already. So
Yes. And as Bruno says, the presentation shouldn't be to go deep on concepts. It should be just the beginning.
right.
You go deep on your content, on your blog, or on your stuff.
Right.
It's about the follow up.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I see many speakers making those mistakes. They try to pass out the content, but they don't give the audience follow up.
Right. Oh yeah.
They just
A few
they
of the,
just put their Twitter and that's it.
yeah.
There's nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. That it's almost never does somebody And if they're describing a tool or something, here's where you can find more information if you want to.
Exactly, and you have your book.
Yeah.
You can just say, oh, and I found really, really smart on your presentation that on the professional on software developer week that you talked about just 3 mistakes, and then oh,
Yeah.
if you want to know the remaining mistakes, you can get the book.
Right.
This was really smart, really,
Oh,
really smart.
well, thank you.
I liked the strategy, and I bet everyone got the book,
Mm-hmm.
even me. I got it as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I figured that I only had 10 minutes to talk, so I mean, that basically gives me enough time to introduce and define all 7, or I can go into a little bit of depth on 3. And and that way, always leave them wanting more. That's I think one of Walt Disney's sayings is always leave them wanting to have come back for more. So
Oh, that's interesting.
if you
That's very useful.
yeah, I mean, if you give them everything right away, then okay, we're done. There's nothing more. So if you
That's amazing. That's
most of it, then
simple phrase, but very powerful.
yeah.
I will note this down.
Okay, I think that's a Walt Disney quote. Always give them something more. Or else it always leave them laughing. More. Oh, come on. Funny. Read it. Who said? Go away. Walt Disney. Yeah.
Could you send the phrase here? Could you share?
Yeah. Want to share my screen or just?
No, share on the chat.
Some people say.
Send on the chat.
Okay. Always leave them wanting more. See. And sources. This site might help you best answer this challenge. Every day, every time for 8 years. Shortest. Nope. Go away. Is it quote search? Rainy quote. There we go. Topics, quotes. Remember, you're absolutely unique, just like everyone else.
Sorry.
Okay, authors. Let's go to Disney. Walt Disney. kind of fun to do the impossible. Man, they got a mess of quotes by him. Maybe it is P.T. Barnum. Let's see here. P.T. Barnum. Well, and again, maybe not. I don't know. I thought it was well. Anyway, I spent too much time on it already. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
So, yeah, I did a presentation this past Wednesday on, well, with somebody else on using Docker and taking a Java application and moving it to Docker. So I spent the past couple of weeks having a crash course in Docker and see what else did we well, creating Java web apps and servlets and stuff. That it was exciting. I put together a simple Java application that showed various capabilities. It would basically said, you know, hi Scott, here's the weather in Houston is XYZ, and so that would get the username from an environment variable. It would then get the location from a location site, and it would get your IP address from a local, what you call it, a console invocation, and then it would get the weather from a weather site and would format all of that and display it. And then it would access the database to get some stuff. So I basically did a fairly comprehensive application that showed how to get data from a bunch of different places and format it in a string. And then I moved it into a web application, and then I needed to move that web app onto a Docker image so that it could be easily installed everywhere. And I didn't get it on the Docker image successfully, so. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I certainly learned a lot.
Yes, Docker is something that have to have more practice.
Yeah, well, there's tutorials out there that you know, when you go to the Docker website and then just set stuff up and get it going. But,
interesting.
But it doesn't. I mean, it works on Windows 10 if you've got the embedded Ubuntu feature installed, because Docker really works only on Linux and what is it? I think it works on the Mac because it's
Based on Unix.
based on FreeBSD.
Yes. Yeah,
But,
it works.
but yeah, to get it to work on Windows, you have to use the embedded Ubuntu.
That's fine.
And I was hearing a discussion this past week about how Microsoft purchased GitHub, and by getting GitHub, they also got the Atom editor, which is very popular editor, and yes, the primary competitor to the VS Code editor, which is what Microsoft makes. And they also got what's it called? Atom? Not Atom. Was it? Oh gosh, Electron, which is the it's a user interface that will run a web application. Like Slack is an Electron application. When you run this, when you install Slack on your computer. So if you notice, Slack, its regular application is almost exactly the same as the Slack application when you bring it up in a web browser. That's because that's what Slack is. Basically, it runs a web application, except without the browser. So they're thinking that Microsoft is basically ceding the operating system wars to Linux, and it's going to start making the Microsoft applications, run effectively like a Docker application or like a Slack application, because they're moving Microsoft Office to the cloud with Microsoft Office 365. That's their big cash cow, and the operating system really isn't necessary for a lot of things anymore, because a lot of the applications you use are moving online. So they're suggesting that Microsoft is basically giving up on the operating system war, and they're going to focus on extending Linux. Was it Microsoft does the embrace and extend? Embrace, extend, and
seriously, they want to extend Linux?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Microsoft has been the biggest contributor to Linux for a couple of years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Did they buy Linux or something?
Well, how do you buy an open source everything? They contribute a lot to the Linux effort. So
that's interesting.
Microsoft has been the largest contributor to open source for, I don't know, 3 to 5 years.
Why?
They're big believers in it. That they're changing how they're focusing their what they're focusing the company on.
They are big believers, or they are thinking on business?
Well, I mean, clearly they're thinking of business, but
what kind of business?
Well, Azure is sort of my understanding of what they're focusing on, the cloud business. They want to be the premier cloud provider, and you can put any kind of operating system up in the cloud, and you throw up a Docker image and everything will just work. And so in order to be the premier cloud provider, you have to have support for everything out there, and it has to beat what Amazon has, because Amazon's king of the hill right now.
Yes, they are really, really powerful on that. I was checking all the concepts they have inside Amazon AWS, and it's so insane. It's a world. There's a lot of content. A lot of things.
Yep. So yeah, Microsoft is trying to beat them at that game, and We'll
It's gonna
see.
be tough.
Yeah.
Really, really tough.
Yeah.
Because Amazon is too powerful already. But Azure is very promising. I can
Mm-hmm.
see. I saw some presentations with Brian Benz,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see that it's very powerful.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a
Yeah,
moneymaker. And
yeah,
that's what Microsoft is betting on big now. I mean, they got out of the phone business. They the Windows Mobile doesn't exist anymore.
yeah. It was a failure.
Gaming business isn't going to be making them tons of money.
Yeah, with Xbox, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they still have. I mean, they still have Microsoft Office. That's their big thing. And with Office 365, well, that's all in the cloud. Why, that sounds like Azure. And in the operating system, well, if you're using the cloud, then the operating system really doesn't matter.
Maybe even the computer doesn't matter.
Well, well, unless you're doing development, but yeah. But actually, there's I think I mentioned a few weeks ago the
Because
Eclipse Chi project. Have you heard of that?
no.
Yeah, if you look up Eclipse Chi, basically it's a whole development environment in the cloud. So you've got the editor with the compiler and everything, and you've got your whole Eclipse workspace right there in the cloud. It's
So
and it's pretty impressive.
so I'm just wondering, do we need to have powerful computers? Because we can use computers on the cloud. We
Right.
can access computer on the cloud and use the performance of other computer,
Yeah.
right?
So you get a nice Chromebook, and you should be able to be just fine if all your if everything you have is in the cloud.
No, I mean you can use the performance of the computers that are in the cloud.
Right. Right.
So
So all you need is a computer that will quickly render whatever
a
you know,
bridge.
access in the cloud. So yeah,
Maybe
as long as you get
computers in the future will
access.
be just a bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can get a Chromebook for $300 and have all of your applications on a cloud service, so you can do all your editing there, and have a DigitalOcean account where you just spin up whatever projects you need to work on. If you need something bigger, then you can move that to Azure or AWS. Yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff.
It is. It's the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there are dozens of different services to the clouds. Oracle is going really strong on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Red Hat. I don't know if IBM has a solution to the clouds. Probably they have. It's IBM.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, it's getting close to time for me to move along.
Yeah, that's okay. So, are you going to stay in your work or are you gonna leave?
Um, well, at this point, I'm going to stay. I've been looking around, but yeah, at this point, I plan on staying. Uh, I mean, I've got a reasonably secure position for at least another year or two, and so that gives me time to develop skills in other areas, to learn the Java web technology and to learn other languages. Like if I can pick up Python and start learning TensorFlow so I can do machine learning and expand my usefulness there.
Okay, I get your point.
So
What about Angular?
Well, I guess it would be important for me to learn JavaScript for doing web applications, but I'm thinking that my bailiwick is legacy code.
Oh, okay, I get you.
So that's what's really interesting to me. I was really amused that I need to add a new feature to the application I'm working on, and I have a coworker in Bulgaria that I was working with on it, and basically I need to take what's currently sort of a wizard-driven function and automate it and make it, what we call headless, so that there's no user interface on it. You just pass in some parameters and it goes and figures out the rest and runs the whole process. And so rather than go and figure out how it currently works, I just set up, I started overriding functions that, okay, I'm not going to have a user interface, so I'll just call it and make it start running. And then wherever it throws up an exception that I'm missing something, then I'll go and override things to make sure I either pass in the right parameters or make it go. And I just sort of follow the exceptions. And I put something together like that. And this developer from Bulgaria, yeah, I find it fascinating and interesting to sort of, it's like you're exploring a new cave. Oh, look what's over here. Oh, look what's over there. Oh, that's really cool.
Yes.
And he was saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe, why do they do it this way? I don't care why they do it this way. That's the way it works. Let's figure out how to make it go. And he's, this is terrible. Oh no, oh my gosh, this is terrible. What a terrible way to do things. Yeah, but I mean, let's just stay curious and start moving forward. He was so exasperated with how poorly written it was and how hard it was to make the changes that we needed to. And look, this isn't working now. And we've got to somehow magically get this piece of data squeezed into it. And, well, we can figure that out. It's okay.
Yes.
And I thought, I guess I really am unique in the way that I approach problems, because I find that sort of stuff fascinating and exciting. And he
Seriously,
just exasperating that what a miserable way of doing things. Well, yeah, but that's okay. We can figure it out. We can make it a little better.
Seriously, that you feel excited to see those bad codes and figure out what's happening. Maybe you are unique because developers hate it.
Yep. So I figure that's marketable.
Of course it is.
And companies have difficulty finding people to work on old crusty applications because you're
wants it.
There's not a whole lot of career advancement there.
Yes, nobody likes it.
Yeah, but I do.
Yeah, you do. So you are the right person to build tools to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. So
or techniques or whatever works.
I was talking to a recruiter yesterday, and he said, "Yeah, we've got this company that was looking to fill a position. There's basically it's a one-man job where we've got this 15-year-old application that it used to be really popular, but nothing's really happened with it in a while, and they're kind of wanting to resurrect it. And if they're able to get that to happen, then they'll probably expand the team. But there's other cool application that they're wanting to do, this web application that they're going to be pulling in data from lots of different places, doing all kinds of exciting things. They're wanting to really be cutting edge with it. Yeah, the second one sounds okay, but the first one sounds really interesting to me. Really? Okay, I'll call them, see if they've still got an opening there. It can't hurt. Well, that's really what I'm interested in, is that kind of work. Is give me an old crufty piece of crap that nobody wants to touch. I want to dive in and figure it out.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And do you have the guts of refactoring it?
Do I what?
Do you have the guts of refactoring?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, I need to know new technologies.
It's your phrase. Keep coming, refactor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
So, but I need to know the new technology to the extent that I can update the legacy application to start using the newer paradigms and systems that people use. And so I need to know how they work so I can support it and start transferring bits over into the new section. But the old stuff is, Bruno sent out a link yesterday of some legacy code, and I had to restrain myself from going in and cleaning it up. So that looks like a fun puzzle to solve. But it was put up as an example of, look at this horrible crap that I had to deal with some years ago. Okay, let's do it. That looks like fun. How's your job going? I know that you had a coworker who was really, really difficult.
No, it's going great now. He's not so difficult anymore.
Okay.
Just going good. Figuring out Angular.
Oh, okay.
So Angular is giving us some trouble because it's always difficult to master a new framework.
Mm-hmm.
There are some concepts that you have to understand more deeply, and now I just defined as a high priority to study at least 1 hour a day Angular because it's impacting me so much.
Really?
Because when you don't know the concepts, you just have to reinvent the wheel, have to create code repetition. That it's something that I really hate.
Yeah.
Create code repetition for me is just frustrating. I don't like it at all. So now I define as a high priority to see a bit of Angular every day to solve this problem. But we are also learning some other cool stuff like Cucumber with Selenium and rest assured tests. So those cool stuff.
Okay.
We are. I think it's a good technology that we are working with.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like, it's this.
I spent a little bit of time trying to pick up JavaScript, and it's the I guess the language is pretty straightforward, but it's all of the different little functions and libraries that go along with it. That's going to take some time to get on top of that.
Yeah, there is many things in JavaScript. So when you go into Angular, you have other things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big thing to learn Angular because it's not just Angular. It's about web concepts. It's about JavaScript. It's about TypeScript.
Yeah.
It's about maybe CSS. I hate it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's important for us to know at least the basic, to do some basic stuff.
Yeah. Well, Andres, the guy I spoke with last year.
Yeah, I remember Andres.
He's a CSS guru, so he might be able to give you some assistance in that.
Yeah, Andres is specialist. He's very good on CSS.
Yeah. I think he's got a book or at least some good references on how to learn and whatever
Yeah,
on
I
topics.
took a look. I took a look at his book. It's very good.
Okay.
Maybe you should uh, read it again. But we don't have to deal with CSS too much there. We have to deal with Angular concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what complicates. This is where things get complicated if you don't know the concepts well.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's Spring and Java on the
Okay.
back end and REST.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other thing is I need to understand Spring. That's used everywhere.
Yes.
Spring and Java EE.
Yes.
And I have no experience at all with any of those. So that's sort of it's another thing I need to pick up this summer is
Yes.
some kind of a project that I can do that with. I know that
So
one of the guys he's got a book that he just published, Java EE recipes. I was thinking I'd like to get that, but I don't know enough about Java EE to be able to use recipes yet. I need an introduction to Java EE at this point.
you could check elder videos, and you could get his book,
Right. Yeah, he's the one.
Java,
He's got his book.
Java cookbook.
Yeah. So
Because Java Elder went really deep in Java EE,
right.
so he's a good reference.
Okay. I'll check out all of his stuff.
Yes. You can start by his videos.
Okay.
Also Java. He interviewed a lot of references from Java EE.
Okay.
And yeah, they will give you a good view about Java EE.
Okay. I will do that.
A lot of things, isn't it?
There's so much to learn.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
How do you stay on top of it all?
Yeah, you just have to focus on things because if you try, oh, I'm gonna do this, gonna do that, I'm gonna do that, don't do anything.
Right.
So just define your priorities.
Yeah.
A good thing that Bruno told us some time ago is to write 5 things that's most, maybe, yeah, 5 or 10 things that are most important for you, and then define your focus. And
Right.
then choose 3 more important, or
Right. There's
maybe
process.
one.
I'm sorry.
Define 3 that are more important, more crucial for you, or just define 1.
Right.
If you have just 1, it's even better, but it's almost impossible to have 1. For example, in my case, it would be impossible because so what I keep on doing. So for me, a big priority would be to share things on Twitter every day, write articles
Mm-hmm.
at least once on 2 weeks, and learn Angular.
Right.
Yeah, 3 things.
There's a story I heard about Warren Buffett. He's like the richest guy in the world, and he says that if you want to accomplish something with your life, what you need to do is make a list of the top. I guess he was coaching somebody, and guy said, I need to get focused. He said, well, what I want you to do is make a list of the top 20 things that are most important to you. And so he made the list of the top 20 things. And he said, okay, now I need you to pare that down to just 10. I said, okay. So he went and chopped it down to the the 10 most important. So now I want you to do is to figure out the 1 or 2 things in that list of 10 that are the critical things that have to get done, or or your life will be meaningless. And so he got it down to those 2. So, okay, so I need to just prioritize everything according to this. He said, no, what you need to now do is focus on those top 2. And everything else on the other list, you need to make sure to avoid at all costs. Just don't even go there, because those are not going to achieve the things that those top 2 are going to achieve. You've already determined that those top 2 are the most important things, and if those don't happen, then your life will be meaningless. The rest of the things are merely distractions. Like,
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
So define only 2 focus. Create a list of 20, then define 10, and then define 2 crucial things that without it.
By having that list of 10 and 20, you now know what things are going to distract you from the most important things. So you can make sure that if something in the rest of that list comes up and it looks important, you can say, but it's not in my top 2. So I need to avoid it.
I'm gonna note down this. Create a list of 20 things, then choose 10.
Take the top 10 off of that.
And
then determine the 1 or 2 things.
Top 10. And then determine the top 2 things.
Yeah. A couple of things that are absolutely critical, without which your life won't have any meaning. And you just focus absolutely on those 2 things, and you make a point to avoid things on the other part of your list, because they're just distractions. They'll never be more than distractions, because they're not the top priorities that you already decided. It's pretty powerful, huh?
It is. It's very powerful. We should share those phrases later. Can we post the video there?
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping this is recording.
Yeah, it's live. It's being recorded.
Okay.
But it's good just to put the summary of the video there.
Okay.
Those 2 phrases, they're very powerful.
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, it's very abstract saying those things.
Well, yeah.
Because, for example, I'm defining now. So I don't know if you know, but I'm going to the gym now.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it's something that is crucial because it makes a difference.
Yeah, your health is critical.
So but I wouldn't put it on this list. It would be something that should be default for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going 3 times a week, and I think everything in your life just gets better when you exercise, and because it's about health, it's about being good with yourself.
Okay.
So, and yeah, so those kind of things. Do you think it would be one thing to put on your focus, or you think it's just a default thing that shouldn't go to this list? Because if we have to choose just two priorities, I would be using one already. That wouldn't be fair.
Here.
Did you get my point, or it was a bit unclear?
Well, here, here's a link to somebody who's written a blog post describing this, probably in a little more detail. Might be a better explanation than what I did. I just kind of summarized it based on a talk I heard some years ago. So something may have gotten lost in the translation, but I know James Clear is pretty good about this stuff.
I will read it definitely. It's from Warren Buffett. It's from.
I guess
James
he's
Clear.
focused on the career, so it wouldn't be life in general.
The power of elimination. Oh, that's must be a powerful article. I will read it.
Okay.
Yeah. So just one thing that I didn't mention today. We are launching the challenge on Oracle Dev Gym. So
Really?
it's a big thing.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, if you can retweet as well, I would be happy.
Okay, I'll do that.
I'm happy that Venkat just retweeted.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. You just retweeted it.
Excellent.
Yeah, if you can contribute, it would appreciate it. So.
Okay.
And you can write your challenge if you are interested in. I don't know if you like to write
Okay. Well, I like
puzzles
right.
in Java.
Okay. I'll I guess that's you got a posting on that?
Yeah, there is a post on my Twitter.
Okay. I will check it.
I just posted it.
Okay. I'll check it out later today.
That's cool. And yeah, focus is a difficult thing.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, I've got to get going.
Cool.
It was good seeing you again.
Yeah, it was cool. It was great to talk to you again and learn new things as always in the meetings.
Very good. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
Are you going to share the video on?
Yeah, as soon as I figure out how, I'll put it up there. Okay.
Yeah, and you can share those phrases here.
Yeah, I'll put
just a brief summary about the conversation.
Will do.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So see you, Scott, and it was great to talk to you again.
Likewise. We'll talk to you later.
Likewise.
Right.
See you.